Hi, my name is Jim Britt. The purpose of this message is to inform you of what I feel is possibly the most important discovery ever made in the nutritional and wellness industry. A few years ago on a trip to Montreal, I heard about this incredible immune-enhancing product called Immunical and the company that produced it, Immunotech Research. So I paid them a visit to find out more. While I was there, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to spend several hours with Dr. Gustavo Buenos, MD, the man who devoted the past 20-odd years of his life clinically researching and developing this remarkable discovery. The information he shared with me and what you are about to hear, in my opinion, is nothing short of a miracle. About 20 years ago, while conducting research at McGill University in Montreal, Dr. Buenos discovered an isolated protein that contained powerful immune-enhancing properties. He started experimenting with it and discovered that the animals that he fed it to lived 30 to 50% longer, primarily because they were not coming down with infections and other degenerative diseases. That definitely got my attention. Now, if you're like most, you've probably wandered through health food stores feeling absolutely lost amongst the terms such as antioxidants, free radicals, and so on. You've probably even wondered if you'd ever find that perfect product, the one that truly boosts your immune system and keeps you healthy. I'd like to introduce you now to Dr. Jimmy Gutman and let you hear firsthand from him the details of this remarkable discovery and what it can mean to you and your family. Dr. Gutman is a board-certified emergency medical physician who now practices family medicine. He was chief resident in emergency medicine at Emory University in Atlanta and undergraduate director and resident training director of emergency medicine at McGill University in Montreal. He's author of Glutathione, Your Body's Most Powerful Healing Agent, a cornerstone book on the benefits of this remarkable product, Immunical. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jimmy Gutman.
Glutathione. Now, who has not heard of that word before tonight? There's still a lot of people raising your hands. It wasn't that long ago where I would go give a lecture to a couple hundred people, and maybe there was a handful of folks putting up their hand. But I guarantee you this, that in the next 5 or 6 years, everybody will be using the word glutathione as commonly as you use the word antioxidant, as commonly as you use the word cholesterol. Why? As you heard, when Dr. Buenos first started looking into this, this was an exceedingly subspecialized field. There was maybe a couple dozen articles on glutathione. As of the present date, there's over 65,000 articles on glutathione. Every time I open up a medical journal, every time you open up a health magazine, you are going to hear about glutathione. So get very used to that word. How did I get into this? I know that when I stand up in front of a large audience like this, talking about a natural product, some people are looking at me a little strange. What is a medical doctor doing, speaking to hundreds of people about a natural product? Do you find that a little bit strange? Let me tell you a bit about my history. I am, by training, an emergency physician. And I'm the former residency program director at McGill University for emergency medicine. What does that mean, besides being very difficult to get onto a business card, was not only did I work in the emergency department, but I was in charge of teaching people emergency medicine and teaching the teachers how to teach emergency medicine. So after 20 or 25 years of emergency medicine, I became a real expert in fixing things that were broke, which is very, very typical of most doctors, being able to fix things when they're broken. You see, people say that I work as a health profession. I'm not a health professional. I don't work in the health profession. I work in the sickness profession. I am an expert at sickness, and especially in the emergency room when nobody comes running into the ER asking for an emergency transfusion of saw palmetto. So I spent all my time taking care of sick people. Now, something happened to me. Something very important happened to me in my life that changed everything. And I'm looking out there in the audience tonight, and I can see that same something happened to some of you too. It happened to you, and it happened to you. What happened to me? I turned 40. And I had 2 kids. And emergency medicine is kind of like professional sports. 35, 40 years old, find something else to do. You just can't do it anymore. The hours, the stress, the politics. So I decided I was going to change careers, and I went into family medicine. And here I am, as a family doctor, being used to working in an environment of complete chaos, and now I'm locked into this little room with another person who usually looks better and feels better than I do. And these people have the audacity to ask me questions. See, in the emergency department, usually they're either too intoxicated or they can't breathe at all, so they're not asking me questions. And now I'm sitting face to face with a relatively well person asking me things like, Dr. Gutman, what do you think the optimal dose of vitamin C is? Dr. Gutman, what about this high protein, low carbohydrate diet? Dr. Gutman, I'm 67 years old. What kind of exercise should I be having? And my answer to them most of the time was a shrug of the shoulders. Now, let me tell you something about doctors. One thing doctors really hate. Doctors really hate feeling stupid. And how many times during the day can you go like this to a patient where your ego doesn't start taking a real beating? So I decided that I was going to take it upon myself to study supplementation and nutrition and vitamins. See, I didn't get much of that in medical school. In the 3 years of medical school I went to, I had maybe 2 afternoons on nutrition, and that was it. So I started studying vitamins and cracking open books on natural medicine. And most of what I looked at, I have to admit, was a little bit soft. See, as a doctor, as a scientist, I like to have tangible evidence that something is going to work. Historical features like the Yanomamo Indian of the Amazon basin have been using this herb for 10,000 years. To me, that's not proof. So I saw a lot of very soft science. I saw a lot of things that were natural but were downright dangerous for you. Please, please don't make the mistake of thinking that because something is natural, it can't hurt you. Okay? Cocaine is natural. Arsenic is natural. And I wouldn't recommend that to my patients. Mind you, there are a few that... So I'm studying this stuff and having a relatively quiet day one day when into my office comes bursting this individual by the name of Howdy. And Howdy's a patient of mine. And not only is Howdy a patient of mine, Howdy is also an ex-Golden Gloves boxing champion. So when he comes running into a room, he demands a lot of attention. And Howdy's all excited, and his eyes are coming out of his head, and he says, Dr. Gutman, I've got something here that is going to keep you from getting old. It's going to stop you from having cardiovascular disease. It's good against cancer and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and diabetes and seizures. And I say, whoa, Howdy. It sounds like you're reading off of a can of snake oil. How can one substance possibly have such a broad-reaching effect? And Howdy's answer to me was with a big thud on my desk. And it wasn't Howdy punching my desk. It was the sound of about 20 pounds of research hitting the top of my desk. And he said, Jimmy, you're going to go home and you're going to read this. Now, most of my patients don't talk to me that way. But Howdy, being a boxing champion, gets away with this. And what he managed to do by leaving me with this pile of articles was absolutely ruin the next 3 months of my life, because I could not tear myself away from this research. I was on the internet all night. I was canceling clinics to go downtown to the McGill University Library and look up more about this stuff. And this stuff that I was looking at was the molecule glutathione. And it was extremely exciting for me. At the same time, it was extremely embarrassing because most of the best work was done in my own backyard, McGill University. And it was just beyond me that I've never heard of this before. But I had the good fortune of getting in my car and within a half an hour being able to sit myself in front of the genius behind this work, Dr. Bunos. And after speaking to Dr. Bunos and his colleagues, it was time for me to make yet another career change. And here I am tonight, introduced as an expert in glutathione. Now I wonder what my mother would have to say about that. Sends me to medical school, I'm an expert in this tiny little molecule that nobody's heard about yet.